Nice to see you.
We're live.
Put it on in here or something.
It seems quite warm. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, well, let's call our meeting to order, folks. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Lafferty, seconded by Councillor Rowe. The council adopts the agenda of regular meeting RM09-2019. I do have a couple of additions. One would be, I'd like to put it under 11F, and this would be the one about committees and subcommittees. This was an issue that you still wanted to talk about, Councillor?
Yes, please.
Okay, and then I will make G, 11G, a resolution to support a proclamation on Victims and Survivors Crime Week. We've been asked.
Say that again, victims.
It's Status of Women Council of the NWT asking that we issue a proclamation declaring Community of Fort Simpson recognizes May 26th to June 1st as Victims and Survivors Crime Week. Yeah, Victims and Survivors Crime Week.
Oh, I think. No, no, put this on the
Can
table.
move that one.
You sure?
All right, so are there any other changes or additions to the agenda?
Yeah, I'd like to add, the grads gift.
Can we put that as H, the grad gifts, under new business?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that one. Any other? All right, so as amended then, to adopt the agenda, all in favor? Okay, 8 in favor, none against. Agenda is adopted. Any declarations of interest in any of the items here tonight? Okay, I'll start, because there's one item here on the caretaker services contract. I would be basically in a biased kind of situation here because my son currently does the caretaker services here at the village. So I won't be sitting in on that one. Anybody else? Yes, Councilor
Yeah, I
Grove?
guess maybe I should declare on the liquor rationing.
Okay, that's noted. Thank you very much. And I guess according to Cities, Towns, and Villages Act, we're supposed to say why. So,
Well, we do have a liquor sales facility.
Okay, good enough. Any others? Councillor Rowe, you're not going to declare conflict?
On what?
Water delivery contract.
What about it?
Who do you work for?
Work for PR contracting.
Okay, that would put you in a conflict of interest position.
How would that put me in a
Potentially,
conflict of interest?
You're in the employ of the person who might have a financial interest.
Are we discussing changing contract options for the company? Or are we talking about a blanketed tender? I do take offense to this, by the way.
Well, you could, but here's the legal opinion for you that we asked and were given, is that in this kind of a situation, normally you might be right.
And I am right.
Oh, you are right. Okay, well, that's what you say.
Mhm.
I would say you should be careful, at least, because what the lawyer said is that in this situation, given that PR currently holds the water contract, you're not exactly in the same community of interest as what other potential bidders might be. So I guess you should be aware of that.
I'm also aware that any company in town has the right to bid on any contract that comes through the village.
I
And I
let
would
you
like
know
to note
that.
that I have taken offense to the fact that you have singled me out on conflict of interest and not anyone else. I seem to be the only one who was singled out on conflict of interest over and over again. And
I
it's
would just
getting
take
old.
it as a helpful warning or a helpful hint, because you don't want to put yourself in a position you don't have to put yourself into. That's all. Councillor Grow?
I have one question. Did you bid on the contract before?
Yeah, probably 15 years ago.
So there you go.
Yeah. I won't be bidding on it again.
I won't be bidding on it.
No, but you work for PR contracting. And if you read the Conflict of Interest Act, which is the GNWT legislation that deals specifically with this, if you are in the employ of the company whose issue we're talking about, who has a financial interest, you're basically in conflict. It wouldn't even matter which way you support, don't support. It's just the fact that you're here.
Okay.
That
We
could put you
aren't
in a
talking about
potential conflict.
11D company I work for. We're talking about 11D, a contract that is available to anyone in the community.
Right. Well, all I want to say is point out that currently that company does hold the contract, however.
Mhm.
So that puts you in a slightly different position than
No,
just
it
every other bidder.
Doesn't put me in any position.
No.
Like
The lawyer seemed to think it was a little bit different than that.
I would question the lawyer on that one.
I wish you could. I wish you would.
Are we, when we come to that, can you forward me that package again? I don't know what I do with it.
Okay.
But when we come to that topic, are we talking about the details of the contract, or are we just talking about what dates we're putting out the contract for?
We will be doing a resolution that basically authorizes the issuance of a contract
Mhm.
for water service delivery.
And that's it.
That's it.
So,
I think the motion has about a 5-year term, effective November 1st of this year. So that's the gist of the motion
yeah,
at this
so
point.
there's not going to be any more
No more
further
discussion.
So I don't see the conflict.
Does anyone else need a package? I'll print a couple off.
Of what?
Let me,
Just
you
for
can,
the-
you can just email, forward it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just forward it to me, because I don't know what I did with it. Got a whole bunch of Daryl Whites here, but no package.
Okay, we'll just take a second
I
here.
think it's the one, because Kirby replied to it, so it might show up as Kirby.
Yeah, but there's no attachment. Oh, right there. I got it, come back. Thank you,
No problem. Yeah, I was trying to find it before the meeting.
yeah. Thank you, Troy.
Did you say it was in the package?
Okay. So, in any event, it's Michael's choice whether he wants to sit here or not, so that's fine.
Yes, it is.
Okay. We have councillor absences. Motion moved by councillor Rowe, seconded by councillor Lafferty. The council, well, I guess we're all here, right?
No.
No absences, or we'll just skip over that one. Delegations, well, okay, before I invite Mr. Rowe up, and secondly, our MLA, Mr. Thompson, I'd just like to go over how we'll do this. I would like both parties to stick to a time limit of 15 minutes, which is our allocated time under our council procedures bylaw. I'll let you guys just talk. Won't be interrupting you, okay? I'll ask councilors to wait till you're done, and if you're done before the 15 minutes and you want to take questions, I'll invite councilors to ask you any questions. How's that? Okay? So, I guess, Mr. Pat Rowe, would you like to come forward first? Welcome, Pat.
Just wanted to go before council. Received a letter that council's not going to RFP on the landfill. Really flies off a duck's back. It really doesn't matter. But again, we're faced with the business community going to contract. So I guess my question would be individually to the councilors, and I could start with the deputy mayor. When you come upon that decision, what was the variance of cost? How much less was it for the village to do that when you made your decision on that? Like, how much were we saving as a village?
Well,
I
Mr.
can
Rowe,
probably answer after you.
again, yeah, we just
Wait
rather
till
you do your
done.
presentation. And if
That
that's
is
the end of
my
the
presentation,
presentation,
Mr. Mayor, that is my presentation.
is that the end of it? That's your one question and that's the end of it? 'Cause then
No, I might ask council more questions. I think it's
I
a great.
prefer it not be a debate.
And another thing, seeing as though you bid against me,
15 years ago? Pat,
don't matter, you've got a vested interest in it.
How would I-
How about you declare?
Your son who's
conflict of
sitting here
interest and
right
allow me
now,
to talk to
excuse
council?
me,
I
excuse me,
can't
Pat.
talk to council
I don't think that it's right for you to come here
and ask
And-
council a question.
and, no, because I asked you to make your presentation first. We're not here to debate. We'd like to hear what you have to say.
I just would like to know why council insists on going. There's two items that I want to bring up, that being one. And the other one came right from your mouth.
What's that?
Well, I don't know if I should ask the question, but you told me flat out, the reason that we didn't do any mechanical work for you is because I didn't have a certified heavy duty mechanic. That come right out of your chair.
I
No.
don't think that's relevant, really, to the
It's not
discussion.
It's the two things I'm bringing up.
Presentation.
I'm bringing up two things.
Don't
And
really want to
apparently
get
I'm
into
getting cut off.
that.
Apparently I'm getting cut off.
Well,
Now,
you are supposed to state the reasons that you want to come and make your presentation, and fair enough. We thought you were coming here to talk about, yes, the dump maintenance
and
contract.
then you're not taking questions. I'm
We
just
will at the
asking
end of
questions
your-
of council.
We will at the end of your
That's my
presentation.
whole
I don't want to interrupt you.
Please interrupt. You're doing that right now. Now, all I'm bringing up is, again, we're faced as a business community, whether it be Rose, Noah, PR, Burrow and Sons, Gacho Suites. I would like to know how much of a cost saving we are saving as a village on taking away contracts. You know, you just declared an interest. I'm sure that the village staff can clean this place. I mean, come on. If we're just taking away contracts, let's get at that. I'm willing to bid fair and square as any contract that goes out. But again, we received a letter. All we asked at that letter was that an administration decision or a council decision? If it's a council's decision, I would like to know how council came to that decision. I guess that's my whole presentation.
Okay.
I'm kind of baffled why we're taking away another contract in the village of Port Simpson. Is it your contractors are no damn good? Is it we're charging you too much money? What? Why would elected officials want to delve in all that stuff?
But I think that's the point. We aren't.
That's
It's basically an administration recommendation based on the amount of work that's required, and the costs involved, our resources that we have available, given that we're doing different things at the landfill, that there was a recommendation made that that particular contract didn't fit any longer with the village, the village's needs. That's what it was. That was decided at a committee, and your son actually supported it.
Mhm.
But
I don't know
Yes,
what that has
Councillor
to do
Grove.
with anything.
Okay, you've gone away from the 15 minutes there already, so we guess we can all discuss it. I don't remember us ever making a decision on taking the dump away or not. We did not do it as a council. That was all, who made the decision?
well, the way it worked, it was at a committee meeting that the recommendation was brought forth that the village would take over all of the maintenance activities at the landfill. There was new things happening at the landfill, such as
Like what?
the composting. That's a significant new activity that was going to be undertaken, and new infrastructure built out there. There's new employees working for the village in water and waste.
Who
It was
made these
just-
decisions though?
Who makes these decisions? Well, the recommendations come
From who?
from administration.
With what costing?
Well, now exactly what we always do talk about. How much in the weeds or the details do councillors
We
actually
need to know
want
this
to get
stuff. We're the
into?
boss. I mean, we're making
Why
administrative
do you hire
decisions.
administration?
If we are making administrative decisions, that is our employee telling us what we think. Without this stuff, an RFP, I do not ever remember seeing it come to council. And I do agree with Pat Rowe on this one, in that how much does it cost? And I do not see that in anything we do. How much does it cost? And do we have an
Well, we know how
idea
much it
how
costs
much we're saving?
because we know what we pay on the contract. I prefer not to say. That's information Pat may want to keep to himself.
No, I'm okay with it. I'll be your Huckleberry. If it goes to tender, currently we're at 60 grand, and that's public knowledge. I don't think that we as village ratepayers, that's the one reason that I'm here. You know, we as a ratepayer sat here and allowed council to take the management end of it for $35,000. We pay a ton more than that already. We pay a hell of a lot more than that. And here we go, another contract that can be bid by any company in town. Gone. We're taking it over our own resources so we can spend a bunch of money. Take the money, buy an artificial ice plant, and get our kids skating. There's a good way to use the money. But no, we want to just keep taking business from business. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, the math doesn't work.
Right. Well, of course you have a vested interest in what you say because you are the person who is currently working out there.
I'm a contractor.
Yeah. There's nothing personal in it, the decision as to why this was done. Excuse me? Yes, Councillor.
I know at our contracts committee meeting, and the recommendations are going to come up. I did request a copy of the committee meetings that this discussion was held, and I did not receive anything to date. So, because as Kirby had said, I was not aware that this was an internal decision or any recommendation from any committee. I have not seen it, and so I really don't feel comfortable having this discussion when we as council don't have all the details. Were you at the committee meeting?
Yeah, Councillor Hassan.
Thank you. I think we were all here. There was a contract committee meeting. I wasn't part of that, finance committee meeting. And they have a recommendation and they submitted the recommendation and it came here to the council that the village is taking the dump contract maintenance, and everyone was here and all of you guys voted on it. So it's all of you guys' responsibility. It came here.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we're all here. That's.
Yeah, but we accepted the recommendation. You guys, all of you guys accepted the recommendation from a committee meeting, from the finance committee meeting.
If I could recommend something here,
Yeah.
it's easy enough for some counselors who actually voted for it to change your vote and ask that it be brought back for consideration. So that's definitely a possibility. If you somehow feel as though you weren't fully informed when you voted, or because you voted in the affirmative, you have the right to change your vote, and you can request that the issue be brought back again. So that's fine. Yes, Councillor Gross.
Okay, if the number $60,000 is the money we're going to save on this contract, if that is how much we're paying the contractor, and I'm going to assume he's right because nobody said, no, you're way wrong. That's cheap.
That's what you say.
$60,000, that's not an employee. That's not even one employee. And the contractor is supplying the staffing and everything that, whatever, I don't even know what the contract is, which is how little we know about
You know
this.
whether it's cheap or not. I mean, that's why we have
$60,000 for
administration.
a contract to do something to do anything. I'll bet you the contract for the janitorial service is more than $60,000 on this building. So $60,000 is not very much money we're spending, and I think we need to go and see a costing on where we're saving the money. If all this contract is about is 60 grand, you have to prove to me that we're going to save money.
Right. Well, we have to look at it too, like we are counselors, we're representing the whole community.
Yes.
We can't just, represent one individual or one
Mr.
group
Mayor,
of
that is
people.
exactly why I'm here.
Pardon me?
That is exactly why I'm here, to represent the whole community. Anybody can bid on it. You guys just indiscriminately decide, but we're just gonna take it over.
But the
We're
whole
not a communist
community
society.
isn't in business to bid on contracts. The business community perhaps,
Yes.
much smaller subset of the entire village.
It's, yeah, but it's a village taking over one after the other, and that's what I'm standing on. Not,
I hear what you're
it's
you're
wrong,
saying,
it doesn't make any sense, and it's crazy.
right? And I really got to say, Michael, say something. It's going on the record, and it could be a conflict of interest.
I see it right there. It's camera.
Yeah,
Broadcast, everybody.
go ahead.
Thank you. I think we're getting, in my opinion, a little far away from the point that he was trying to make. Our community is largely ran by, I'd say, government employment and holds true to tourism. There's a small group, as you said, of business still surviving in this community. And they're the ones that actively engage the community, work with the various sports organizations. They're always coming up for donations. I think what he's saying, and I could be wrong here, is that he wants us to take a look at why we are doing things in-house when the village could be helping the business community. And I think they're looking at the numbers and why we came to the decision to take it away from that group. If I'm right, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well put, anyway.
Like I said, I find it baffling that, and when the management end of it was taken over, if you remember, Mr. Mayor, you guys took $35,000. I dare say you pay Robert more than that, you better, he's a good man. But you also lost your environmental insurance, you also lost your $5 million liability and everything else. So if you tell me that was a good move, and we sat through that one and we allowed it. We didn't contest it in any big way. Now I'm sitting here saying, what are you guys doing? Like, why do you want to spend all that money? Dump it into an artificial ice plant or something that we can do for the community. I don't understand why we keep going backwards on we're going to do this or we're going to do that. We're 4 years behind on the fitness center. It's great that it's there. Finally, good. But we can move forward with some of this stuff if we work within our own resources. And contracting for lower amounts is one of them. Whether I get it, the next guy gets it. For the village to take it over, I could do a cost accounting for you, and man, it would be high. You have staff that would do that for you and find out that it would be better than triple to do it.
Okay. Well, your point is well taken. Some other counselors want to ask Pat a question. Anybody have any comments or preferably a question if you want some more clarification, because we do have another delegate as well.
Thanks for your presentation.
No problem. And I hope to get something back from council on this.
Mhm.
Like, I'd like to see where council goes with this, but, I mean, I've said my piece, and the MLA's here, he's got a bigger seat than me, but it's just, you guys are supposed to be working for the community, and I would hope that you do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Rowe.
Yeah, after that, I don't know if I'm gonna
Okay, MLA Shane Thompson, come on up to the chair there. Welcome.
Well, thank you. So there's a number of things that you, I hope that went out to your packages. I don't know, I've sent it to the mayor and the SAO. So I guess the first one is this Friday, the Standing Committee on Economic Development and Environment will be coming into Fort Simpson to look at Bill 34, 36, and 37, which is the ITI bills. Unfortunately, would have been really nice if we would have got the forestry bills or the ENR bills. Unfortunately, with their travel schedule, they weren't able to attend. So they are going to attend. It's at 7 o'clock. I'm hoping that, some of the councils or councilors or people in the community will be attending. I am not on that committee, but I will be attending.
Which
So, sorry,
Which date?
Friday, so May 10th, or, sorry,
May 10th, Friday.
yeah, May 10th. So it is on May 10th. At the rec center. So that one there, like I said, they're in Friday afternoon. And right now that's where they're scheduled to come and sit at the rec center. We're working on trying to provide a meal. Committee is looking to try to get it organized. So we're trying to find that a caterer. Well, they are. I've given them some names. Said to look out. So we'll see if they are able to succeed on that. The second one is the same committee is going to be coming here in June, I believe. It's the Public Lands Act. That there is the combining the territorial commissioner's land here in Port Simpson. So that's a Wednesday, I believe. And so they're coming here. That one's probably a little bit very touchy issue in this community. And so again, I just wanted to give you guys heads up, it's coming. The committee will be here to deal with that matter, or to the bill with you guys. And that's the one on Friday here. It's a bundled bills. And the reason they were bundled, the bills, was because we were given 16 bills during session, or winter session, and we have to have it done by end of August. So they had to bundle instead of usually they feel comfortable bringing bills one on out there, but because of the demand to get things done, they've bundled bills. And so, yeah, so the public lands one will be coming here on Wednesday. I'm hoping that people will show up, and it's combining all the acts that we have and making it one. And it's part of, all these bills are part of devolution that has happened. So they're trying to get caught up on those bills there.
That was June, you said?
Yeah, June, and I think it's June 25th, if it's the Wednesday. It's the Wednesday. But yeah, I'm not exactly 100% sure if it's that 25th, but I believe it.
Have you read any of them? Is there anything good in any of that stuff?
Well, it's, I'll be honest with you, the ENR bills, I voted against them. In particular, I think that they should have taken the time to do them properly, and consulted a little bit better. The Forestry Act is not great. The committee's been hearing a lot of people bring forth their concerns. And the other ones, I believe the other one with the ENR, there's 3 of them, but the other one that comes out to me is the protective areas. That's very important. It needs to be done The Wildlife Act took 10 years to get done, but it was 10 years of getting it done right. And we've been pushing it. So the ITL ones are better. They're better prepared. But again, when council, I would encourage you to look at them and read them, and, you know, put your viewpoints forward. Because at the end of the day, it's the voices of the people that committee listens to. And so that one there is happening. Social development's going on the road with post-secondary and corrections. We're only hitting, we're hitting Hay River, Fort Smith, Fort Providence, Betcha Cove, Yellowknife, Inuvik, and Tuck. It's just the way it is. Trying to get it all done. So we have to make choices where things are going, and also committee had to look at transportation and trying to get it all done by the time for our committee in during session. We'll have it, trying to get it prepared, because I don't think we're going to have it ready until the August City. Any questions into those ones? Okay. The next one is the joint or cost share to medical travel. So this has gone up from $250 to $400, I believe it is. It's 60% increase in it. Now, what we see is it's not going to have an impact on Indigenous people or government people that have insurance, but it's going to have an impact on people that fall through the cracks, or not fall through the cracks, or don't have insurance, or don't have benefits. I mean, I don't know if the village has benefits, medical and dental benefits. But if you don't, anybody making over $85,000 would have to make the co-payment. The co-payment is $400. Like I said, it has no impact on if you need an escort, non-medical escort, there's no impact on that. There's no cost to that. But it does have an impact on the individual going forward. So we've been committee's been working on it. This is what the government and health, and it's June 1st, I believe it's active. It becomes June 1st is when it gets moved in. So any questions on regards to that one there?
Well, how much of our population is that going to impact? And then how many are 2,500?
We haven't given that number. We were given the number of 500 people that was going to impact the Northwest Territories, but it comes down to about 300 now. It has an impact on 300 people.
The whole Northwest Territories?
Whole Northwest Territories.
So minor.
Well, minor amount, but the thing is that I guess the concerns are it may affect seniors, it may affect people that don't have insurance. And so again, when we look at it, we're trying to do the minimum. The government's trying to do the minimum impact on the Northwest Territories. And so it's come down to 300 people that are going to be affected by this.
So some of the 300 is from the death row?
It could be, yes.
It could be.
It could be. Again, it's getting the information from health and social services, third party consent and all that. So it's not publicly, but they say 300 across the territories. That's what it started out with 500. Committees made a number of recommendations. Government accepted some of those recommendations, and we're down to 300.
You almost feel like the lottery, because I'm one of the 300. I bet
Yeah.
you there's a couple more at the table here, maybe. I'm worried about the village employees that would have to pay that, and other people in the village. I know I brought this issue up with Shane, that when the health minister, Glenn Abernathy, was here in Fort Simpson talking about the potential health center here in Fort Simpson. Ultimately, the decision was, well, we're going to take your $30 million and invest it in another place, right? But don't worry, whenever you need to go to the new health center in Yellowknife, that's cost 300 million to build, you'll be brought over there, right? Don't worry about that. But now apparently it is going to be something to worry about for some people. And so basically Yellowknife with the new health center, new hospital, a lot of services will go on there that never happened before, surgeries, et cetera, et cetera. So essentially people in Yellowknife, this doesn't apply to mostly, unless they for some reason have to go to Edmonton and, you know, hit all those other over 85,000 and what have you marks. But I'm thinking if it's such a low number, 300, and what's the cost to administer? Really, what benefits are you going to get? Are people going to delay going to see for medical care when they should go right away, and then later on it becomes even more costly to the medical system because they delayed due to a minor cost, minor $400. It seems like an unfairness is creeping into the delivery of services in the Northwest Territories is what I see, right? Differing application of services to different people. That's kind of scary when the territorial government is worried about the dropping population in the territories, because each person that leaves is another $30-some thousand in lost federal transfer payments. I think this is just another push for some people to leave, for sure, especially elders, as you say. And I know I brought it up with you, and you were good enough to bring it up directly with Glenn, and I don't know if I like the answers that were given, but there we are, right? But thanks again for bringing that issue up. And yes, Councillor Rowe.
When you're done, I know. It was just something, it's actually been something that's been bothering me for a while, and I know this bill's already done, but something maybe to file away for the next time this discussion comes up. You talked about the escorts that get to go with medical travel patients. I know personally, I've seen being on the fire department doing medevacs. I've seen people denied escort when the escorts are needed, broken limbs, elderly people, and I've seen escorts allowed when we walk with them to the ambulance, and they're seemingly all right. I would like to see a blanket policy, because right now it seems like it's luck of the draw. I don't know why some people are allowed to go, some people aren't allowed to go. So I would really like to see if this bill's ever issued again, or if you have any control over it. Either you're allowed or you're not allowed, because it's tough. Like, I'll give you an example. My mother actually broke her ankle 3 or 4 years ago. Flew out Easter weekend when nobody was at the hospital. I couldn't catch a plane. This was Friday. I couldn't catch a plane until Sunday afternoon, and there was nobody in the hospital. And for someone to be alone in a hospital, can't walk, can't function with limited staff, is a very scary thing. I think it is, as Sean had actually said, to use his words, a disservice to people in the smaller communities who are scared. A lot of them are out of their element. They can't help themselves. So I really would like to see just you get an escort or you don't get an escort, but no more of this guessing.
Okay, Councillor Hassan.
Thank you. In regards to health, I have another hat, which is I'm a member of the Regional Wellness Council for the Health and Social Service. I would just want to ask Mr. Thompson if we have 20 rooms or 20 vacancies for long-term care, and we have so many people on the waiting list. And I was discussing this issue with one of the community members here, and they mentioned that the SISH building used to, when they built it as a long-term, but it's used as an office right now. I don't know if there any chance we could have more rooms for the elders because right now a lot of people are on the waiting list, and if a room come up in, say, Hay River, they will send them from here to Hay River when that's not their community, and they don't know anyone in that area, or they might not know anyone in that area. So I don't know what's your input in this matter.
So that there would be something that we could bring forward to the minister, but right now we are 72 beds short in the Northwest Territories. And so right now, long-term care, Fort Simpson is slated for a 48-bed unit. They're working on it. We've reached out, the government has agreed to work with the band and the Métis to come up with a business plan to actually build the facility. So the business plan is something that we, through the territorial government and the federal government. So we're, to get that direction, that's what we're trying to work on. Again, it's about business plans. So it's not the only one here, the only one opportunity in the north. Métis are trying to do it in Hay River. And the Gwich'in and Nunavut are trying to do the same thing up in Nunavut. So we're trying to look at that right now. We have in the capital plan a health center and a 48-bed unit coming, and it's part of the process. The problem with SISH, the building itself, it would have to come to code. The code, the health code, it would have to come up to the standards that the health center uses or that long-term care uses, so there is a code that they have to follow. But it's something that could be discussed by the minister. It could be something discussed by, or we can discuss with the minister, with something that the regional council, wellness council can bring forth to the territorial organization, bringing it forward. But what I've been advised is that there's one of the issues. And yeah, so there's some challenges there. That about the safekeeping of the facility and our residents. The other problem I probably foresee is the nurses and the doctors, because right now they're attached to the health center. And so if there's an emergency, there's a situation, that could be the direction that I'm assuming this is part of the stuff that the government has looked at. So again, it's, if you move it to SISH, then you're gonna have to have more staff, and you're also gonna have more medical staff. And so that could be some of the issues or challenges that they see. But again, I'm just assuming, because that's the health minister.
Shane, did you want to just bring up some of the issues you brought up with Minister Wally Schumer?
Oh, yeah, well, that was my next thing. Yeah, sorry. So you've seen the email. During this breakup here, it doesn't look good, folks. We're looking at the ice there and the buildup, and it's probably between 100 and 125 feet away from the water where it is right now. Level is down. I've had transportation staff tell me that when they looked at it, some of the big rocks are, a foot underneath the water. Our water level is worse than it could be.
The worst ever.
Yeah, well, the worst ever that I've seen. I've only been here for 27 years, but it scares me. It also scares me is with Site C and the dams and that, the water levels are down, going to have an impact there. So I did write a letter or an email to the minister asking first, one, are you going to dredge that area? There is a number of spots there that are low or
Big rock on the other side.
yeah, there's a number of spots that need to be dredged. So I asked them about that. I also asked them about getting Coast Guard to come in and survey the river and see where our water levels are in that. Seeing what our
Options.
yeah, some of the options, looking where, because I've had a number of elders come to me and say, the old campground on the other side, if we built the road coming down there, the water's deep and it goes straight across as one of the options. The other option, we talked about was the opportunity to build a bridge. So I've been asking this for probably about 3 years, but this year here it's even more scarier. I've also asked the minister to come in and meet with the councils. So I'm talking about the Métis, I'm talking about the band, and talking about the village councils, meet with you guys, because at some point in time, they need to come up with a plan that's going to work for the residents of this region or this community and the region, because we are a hub. You know, we are a hub. We have Wrigley, Summit Cay, Jean Marie, Annie Butte. We are all affected by those communities. And without having a ferry service, our food costs are going up. You know, it's just going to be more and more. And so I've again asked the minister to look at these things. I gave him a number of options, and I did print out those his answers in one of the newsletters explaining the various options that were the cost. But we're getting into a situation now that, you know, our water levels, like Deputy Mayor Antoine talked about, it's the worst that she's seen, worst I've seen. I mean, and that's just scary. And this is breakup. You know, this is what concerns me. It's breakup right now. You know, usually this is where our water's all high and we're able to go back and forth, but right now it isn't. So I've reached out to Minister Schumann. He hasn't given me a response. I did CC the mayor, the chief, and the Métis president, as well as the administration.
Shane, to put a bug into our MP's ear about the fact that the Nutrition North program may actually apply to Fort Simpson soon, because from what I read about that, you qualify if you have a full-time road, but access is cut off for longer than 4 weeks on average during breakup and freeze up. So that would put us in a category where we're getting awful close. I think the new normal might be, especially if you consider it's not really a full access highway, if you've got road restrictions, weight restrictions on for half the summer and closures now and again. And I think this period here will go more than 4 weeks from the time it closed to when it's going to open. I think we might actually pass that this time, but just to put the bug into his ear, because if there's ever going to be any money for a bridge study or bridges, it's going to come from the federal government with the territorial government, Mr. Schumann asking. And if they realize that Wrigley and Fort Simpson may both become Nutrition North subsidized communities, maybe that'll be a spur to talk about it at the cabinet level in the federal government.
We should ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to put out there anyway.
I'm like, I'll be more than willing to reach out to MP McLeod. But it helps even better if we get something come from council.
We'll have something for
Yeah, I would say that we should definitely write a letter. We should be the ones
instigating
taking it
yeah.
up to Sean.
And we'll kick it up to you.
Whoever
Yeah.
rushed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That'd be
mean,
good.
the thing is that this needs to be resolved. And if it doesn't, like I said, and yeah, this, I've heard, actually MP McLeod has actually made me aware that this is something that could be potential.
Right.
So, and I gotta give credit to MP McLeod, when issues are brought to him from my end anyway, he works really hard to get the stuff out, and he's been really good MP for the Northwest Territories. And I've said that to him publicly, quiet, or behind the scenes. I give him credit. He's worked hard to get our issues brought forth, and that would be something that we should be working on.
Mhm.
So anyway, so that's where that is. I haven't got a reply back from Minister Schumann yet, but once I get that back, I will again forward it on to everybody. And yeah, I think I tried to send it to Chamber of Commerce.
Did you, which that, the letter?
Letter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good,
we got
okay.
it.
And did you mention about the Mackenzie Highway group that's coming in to talk about the Mackenzie
May
Highway?
14th, 15th.
Yeah, so May 14th, they're actually coming here to Fort Simpson.
Yeah.
To address it. So right now, what they're working on is 15 kilometers from Wrigley to Mount Cadet. It's, yeah, so they're coming to, I mean, they're working with the community. They're coming to consult here as well, like when I say the community of Wrigley. So they've been working. I guess there was some confusion on trying to get it here last time, but they followed up on this meeting. I did share the poster that they sent to me as well, and got that out as well for them.
Public meeting in the evening of the 14th, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And I realize a lot of it's maybe like business opportunities and timelines and things going forward. Probably a good time for mentioning too about bridges and planning for
Well, the thing
across
is-
the Liard and Mackenzie's.
Yeah, because the thing is that they're making a conscious effort. The Bear River Bridge is going to happen, which, you know, has an impact. But again, a bridge here will have an impact on more people and access quicker to it. So I'm not saying no to that one. I'm just saying that it's time for them to start looking at ours.
Yeah.
Can't get there if you don't come through here.
Yeah. So, I apologize. I know it's more than 15 minutes.
Thank you.
If there's any questions, if you have any questions afterwards, just send me an email. I am taking off on Sunday till next Sunday, and then I'm home for 2 days, and then we're in session again. All right.
Appreciate very much you coming down and
Thanks,
keeping us in the
Thank you
loop.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now I get to go see my granddaughter.
Hey.
Or our granddaughter. Hey, see you guys later.
Okay. All right. So moving along here, we've got the adoption of the minutes. And I've got a motion moved by Councillor Bellefontaine, seconded by Deputy Mayor Antoine. The council approves the minutes of regular meeting RM08-2019 of April 15, 2019. Any changes, corrections? No? Okay, all in favor? 8 in favor, none against.
I'm gonna be a chair now.
Minutes are adopted.
Turn the clock.
And now we have reports. Mayor report. I do have one little thing to say to you, but I think I'll keep it to 9A, the liquor ration, which is the table business, because I do have something to tell you about that. But other than that, maybe I'll just pass it on to the SAO.
Just a couple of items, Your Worship. Tax sale. We're ready to move forward with the setting of an auction date and the determination of a minimum bid. So I guess that resolution will be drafted and coming forward at our next regular meeting on the 20th. Just clarification from council at this point that that move is still good with council. The minimum bid is 50% of the assessed value on properties that are going to auction. That is the minimum. Council can set it to a higher minimum. So without any direction differently, the resolution will speak to a minimum bid at 50%.
Councillor Grow?
I'll
Oh.
first. Yeah, sorry.
My question, what is the assessed value? Is that our tax?
Value on the assessment roll.
That's not what they owe.
No, they could owe a lot more.
Good. That's perfect. That's-
The auction date will be approximately 90 days after the resolution of council on the 20th. So we're looking at an auction date somewhere in August, September-ish. So we'll bring those motions forward at the next regular meeting, and then our solicitor will move that process forward and set the auction date and do the sale. So that is that item. The other thing is strategic plan draft has been circulated to council. I'd like to put that on the agenda for next committee of the whole. Have some discussions, some action item lists in terms of moving some of those points forward. If there are any tweaks or edits that you see in the draft that you want to bring forward, certainly do that as well. And so we'll be talking about that next week.
Okay,
Okay?
great, thank you very much. Any last questions for the SAO? Yes, Councilor Rowe?
There's just one thing. I thought we'd had something for the next regular meeting about the fitness center. Just I was curious about the amount of uses.
Okay. Memberships are at 112.
Mhm.
That has sort of plateaued off. The next report from Recreation will sort of keep an updated running total on those.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
I really am interested. Like the more I hear about it, I think the better it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just if we can,
Councilor Grove, yeah.
just to go on that, we're starting to get into where the seasonal people start coming in and that who want to use it now and then. Have you figured out some way of streamlining the system? Because if people come in at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, they cannot go over and pay their $25 at the village, and then they go over to the rec center, and if the limited number of people who know how to deal with it are there, they're fine. So in an hour, if everything works right, they can get a pass within an hour, and all they want to do is go in and jog on the wheel.
I will have to double check this, but my understanding is the rec coordinator was working on solutions for that.
Yeah.
With the staff that work in the evening, so that we can, help those folks out who want to just drop
Yeah,
in.
because we have that issue with people coming in and they come in late and they're leaving early, but they really like the gym.
Yeah.
And it's an issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 9, liquor ration. At our last regular meeting on April 15th, council suggested that I reach out to the other members of the Tri-Council to see what their position might be on loosening of the liquor restrictions in Fort Simpson and a possible plebiscite. So I did talk to both Danny Peterson and Chief Jerry Antoine. And I've given them a memo as well, outlining what it is we were basically looking to discuss at a tri-council meeting. Because of scheduling and what have you, like Danny was out working at the Dooley Crossing and Jerry was out of town for a little bit. I've given them the memo so that they have time to actually consult with their councils. And then we'll get back with the tri-council meeting where we've got a lot more fruitful discussion going on. So hopefully in the next, short while, we'll be able to convene a meeting and address that and some other issues. That's the update on that.
So was that the purpose of it being on the agenda, or is there something else?
I don't really know.
Just where it was a table item.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it on the agenda each month.
Okay.
Until it gets dealt with, comes off the table, and a decision's made. So you'll see it there each month.
I do have a comment on it. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm being annoying again.
No, I have to ask something too.
Do you want to go first?
Is that-
Okay,
Sure.
you made the motion to
Mhm.
introduce that.
Yes.
It was seconded by
Councilor Crowe?
Kirby. Now he's declared conflict. What happens with the motion? He has to withdraw.
Well, the motion never went ahead. It was withdrawn, I'll say.
Well, it went ahead because he had a seconder.
Yeah.
The discussion happened, but there was no vote.
And you can declare a conflict after you.
And I think that's what he's basically doing
Now
now.
he is, yeah.
I think at the time, and maybe it went without anybody noticing, I think, because no one said anything. And I'll be honest, I didn't even think of it myself. So he made a few comments, but in the end, it was withdrawn. The suggestion was just to discuss it with the tri-council. So yeah, Kirby's saying now that he does believe he may be in conflict on future discussions, and certainly probably that pertains to the first one too, but there you go.
Well,
That's good, that's
we're,
good. At
we're
least
fully
he
able
doesn't know
to,
it, yeah.
yeah, we're fully able to declare after the fact if something comes to
Yeah.
light.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's fine. Because anything moving forward would be
We
another.
don't want to get
motion.
anybody in trouble.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah, you're supposed to do it as soon as you realize.
Yeah.
and maybe that's, just took a little longer. Yeah, good.
Good.
Okay, did you have
No, I'm done.
okay, and Councilor Roll?
Yeah, well, I saw your email. It was good. It's good information. Thank you. You said you were having trouble finding anything on it in the Northwest Territories. One of the things that I did do when I first brought it up, and I don't know if it got lost kind of in the weeds of the discussion, is I went right to the Liquor Commission and got recommendation from them. But even the Liquor Commission doesn't like this. It's just an outdated system in their mind. And I did reach out to Norman Wells as well, who have, I think, 8 or 9 years ago or something like that, they got rid of their ration. Same situation as we are. And they have had no changes. Like there was the initial, oh my God, it's gone. And then it just went back to normal. So I just want to keep that in everyone's mind, because when we did talk about it, with the exception, I believe, of Deputy Mayor, who was not in favor,
No,
everyone started off their thing by saying, I don't think it works, but.
I didn't say that.
And that's why I said with the exception of you. Yeah. And I think like moving ahead with a plebiscite and our council's position on it, a plebiscite or a letter to the minister gets them to work in motion where they send out a thing to all interested parties, I thought. Almost like when somebody applies for a wood cutting license. So the letter goes to the band and they can say, no, we don't want this, or yes, we do want this. So I'm wondering if we're waiting on a conversation so that we can have another conversation. Like if we're going to have the same conversation twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right in that in communities where there's more than one government, you've got a band government, Métis government, village council, any one of them, especially I think it was identified in the Liquor Act that a band
They can as well.
can lobby for a plebiscite themselves, or the village could do it by themselves. I think it's just maybe the nature of the community, though, that we'd be better off to discuss this before we move ahead without
Well, that's
getting
kind
a
of
better feel for how everybody's going to approach it.
Well, kind of, it did miff me after the conversation. I will admit, because it seemed as though we were elected for the entire community to make a decision for the community. Now, we have the opportunity to make a decision to consult with all parties through the proper steps. We go to the minister goes to all these bands and says, hey, are you in favor of it? And then we can't just let that happen. There's a plebiscite where the people vote. Now, isn't that the best way of knowing what the people in your community want? Is by letting people vote, not waiting for 8 people to decide what is best for them?
Yeah.
So I feel like we are holding back. We're not passing a motion to get rid of the ration. We can't do that. But we can give the option to the community. And the first time we stopped doing it was we wanted to hear public opinion. We heard public opinion and it was strongly in favor. Then it just seems like we're dragging our feet on something where any party that has an interest in it can bring it forward once that letter's to the minister. But council needs to have a position on it, not the position of the tri-council, the position of the village council.
Right. Do you want me to answer that?
Sure.
In some degree. I think that when I read the Liquor Act, it does say that when a resolution comes from either the band or the village, the minister may direct that a plebiscite be held. And I think it would be a stronger case if the tri-council actually was saying we'd like that to happen. There would be no out for the minister to say, well, I think we should have more consultation before that happens, and I'm going to wait on. And then the discussion will become, we didn't go directly to our partner organization in the community to tell them we tried to do some kind of round the table move. And I just don't want the discussion to become that rather than the actual discussion, which is should we do something with the liquor rationing? That's what I'm thinking.
The may in that, after talking to the liquor commission,
Mhm.
is that they reach out to interested parties. And if there is no issue, they may go ahead if they find no reason not to have it. So if they send a letter to the band and the band says, whoa, no way, we don't want this, he may not. That's how these things work. It's the same thing with the wood cutting permits. It's a perfect example. They get an application, they are bound to tell all interested parties. If anything comes back that there's a problem, they can deny it. They may deny it. Or they may say, that's not really a problem. We're going to go ahead with it. So I think the village really needs a stance. Like, I think we, as a council, like I said, everybody said, with the exception, sorry, of the deputy mayor, I don't think it works. And then they say something about how we should consult with the band. So does that mean our position is that the ration be lifted? Or does, like, we have to have a position at the Tri-Council?
Right,
So what's our position?
right.
My thinking, I think sometimes if we were just to take a position and put it out there and go forth with the plebiscite without talking to people first, sometimes things happen in the community. Even at our last meeting, we didn't have a good turnout. To represent the entire community, I don't feel there was a good turnout. And if we made a decision based on what that small group of people thought, I feel that later there will be people saying, oh my God, we weren't consulted, we didn't know. So I think by inviting all the different groups to discuss it with their own councils, and then they could come forward, and then we're just making a more informed decision. I don't think there's a problem with putting it off. I mean, it's gone on for how many years now? I don't think it really matters if we put it off a little longer to allow people to have their say. And what I'm worried about is if we take a side and we say this is what we want, and things don't go well, it's going to come back to, well, you guys just pushed this through, we didn't know about it, and it happened too quick, and people are dying, people are drinking too much. You know, it could go bad.
So I do have to stop you there, because that's, like, I do hate that. I really do. That the fact that as soon as a ration is lifted, people are going to drink themselves to death.
It's what
Right
people are
now,
saying, so.
I'm not directing this at you, because you are not the only one who has said it. But we've had the RCMP in here. We've had multiple agencies in here telling us, hey, this doesn't work. You guys are literally promoting bootlegging. You guys are the best proponents of bootlegging in town, because people have no action. The people that are drinking 12 Mickeys are drinking 12 Mickeys, even with the ration. The only difference is they're buying 4 regulated Mickeys, and then they're bootlegging 8. So that is kind of one of the big things with the ration that I think doesn't work. Like, I have no desire to go to the liquor store and buy 30 bottles of anything. This isn't for me, it's for the community. People should have the right to choose how much of anything they want.
What was mentioned to me was that people are concerned that young people, because anybody of age now can go in and buy as much as they want. And while myself, I might not go in and buy my ration and sell it to somebody, maybe somebody younger would do that and buy it for their friends. So people are coming to me and saying, I've heard both. There's some people that say this is stupid, let's just get rid of it. It doesn't make sense. But then there's other people saying, well, what happens if this happens? Or what happens if that happens? So all I'm suggesting is that if we do allow each of the groups to have their own discussions and then come back together, I don't think that really hurts us in any way.
Okay, but I'd like our position meted out then.
Mhm.
Is the village council.
I think what you're saying, Councillor Rowe, will require a motion, a seconder, and, bring forth that position which you think.
Well, I'd like to get the feel of the table before I bring any forward.
Right.
It's my right to ask the opinion of people sitting here.
But you should almost bring it out as a motion so the conversation can carry on, like,
Well, it actually
what would
is,
your motion be if you want, and then we'll get a seconder and we'll carry on from there.
well, we have to have the discussion before the motion can be made, because this is a discussion item.
We did have it already.
but
You
you
did make a motion on it.
You
already.
need
Why
to,
are doing
you
it?
need to actually say the motion, because otherwise this conversation could go on endlessly and we don't have a
There is a
purpose to it.
motion on the table already.
No,
No, that,
He made a motion last.
right, but that was
2 weeks ago.
withdrawn.
Yeah, this is a different table.
So it's
Um,
withdrawn.
And now we can't use it because Counselor Grote has said he was,
But I don't understand, because this is a discussion point. This isn't new business. This isn't a bylaw. This is a discussion point in tabled items in old business. It's old business. So
I know
why
the kind of
can't
conversation
we
you're
just
sort of
discuss it?
looking for. Would it be better than to put it off to our committee meeting?
I'll put it
And
on the
we'll
committee
just
as
put
well.
that on as an item where we can just sit and talk without it becoming like official business at a regular meeting where, you know, I'm asking you for the motion.
I'm fine with that. I'd just like everyone to
Yeah.
keep it in their mind about
Okay.
what our stance will be on this.
We'll put it on the next committee meeting for discussion item.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Antoine.
I think we're doing the right thing and trying to address it. And I agree with Liza. Liza said get the tri-council and what you've done already. Just wait for that to follow through before we do anything else.
I'd like also to have a timeline because,
Yeah.
just for you to follow up with them and say, can we have a decision or have a discussion
Mhm.
so we can bring it to a tri-council?
Right.
Yeah,
And,
because the council meeting, our council meeting is next Tuesday, and I can make sure that I'll talk to the chief tomorrow and see if he
Get some-
has received and,
Yeah.
so I can do that on my side, because I will say this was brought up at our council meeting, and they just said, well, no decision should go through unless we're involved with the discussion. So this is the avenue that we're going with
This
the
is the
tri-council.
discussion, I guess, that
Yeah,
we're
so,
starting.
but I agree, I've lived here since the ration has come into play, and I will say that this community has gone downhill, social wise. People don't have no respect for each other, no respect for alcohol, no respect for anything. And I see it daily. I'm the frontline worker at the First Nations office, and it's heartbreaking, to see what the ration has done to this community and to the people, the First Nations people. And probably not even the First Nations. I'm sure there's a few closets out there, but I'm just being blunt here. So this is my feelings about it.
Thank you very much. All right, so definitely a item for our next committee meeting, and we'll go into that a little more. All right, on item 10,
So should run Kirby back in here, maybe?
yeah. let's invite Kirby back.
I'm worried, man.
Yeah,
Forgot about it.
is he out there? Yeah, there he is.
I fell asleep in the chair.
All right. So I've got a motion on item 10, moved by Deputy Mayor Antoine, seconded by Councillor Grote, that council accept the proposal from Stantec Architecture Limited and enter into a 2-year standing offer agreement to provide engineering services for the village of Fort Simpson. Any
What about
discussion?
Committee minutes and recommendation.
That should be,
Covered under 12 and covered under 11.
so your committee minutes, I believe, were part of the package. And so those recommendations are forming
Yeah.
what are on
I
there.
guess, yeah, I should say this is 11. Those were the recommendations in 10, but
So we have to approve those though, accept the recommendations and.
we should,
Yeah.
Okay,
we should.
Or else I
That's a
could
good
argue and say, I didn't support
point.
that.
Yeah, I guess if we didn't accept this, we wouldn't, but
Yeah.
we should technically, so, do we have any more of these motions?
Blank motions?
Yeah, blank ones, so.
We went through 100 already.
There we go.
Yeah, because, then that way there's no comeback to say,
Yes. I need to understand.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Committee meeting of April 29th.
Okay. the motion would read that council approve the recommendations of the Finance Admin Committee made on April 29, 2019. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Okay, mover, Councillor Rowe, and seconder, Councillor Grow. Okay, so all in favor then of approving the recommendations of the Finance Admin?
Could we
Any
just,
discussion?
could we just hold on a sec? Are we missing part of it here? Like the ones that we're approving, they're on 12. Okay. So these are,
No, this is
No.
back in 10.
So what we're doing in 10 is
Yeah.
approving the minutes
The minutes from the
Minutes.
committee.
Oh.
from those committees.
Oh, okay.
And then each of these
Oh.
actions
Oh,
come out of that.
okay.
So, and we can see there were three recommendations, just to go over really quickly. One was the forgiveness of debt bylaw related to Arctic airports. More on that later. The council indemnity bylaw, we'll discuss that when it comes up, but that basically is a adjustment to the payments that councilors are getting to basically offset a CRA ruling. And then there's some small changes to the dog bylaw with some amendments to pricing for certain services. Okay, so we can talk more when we actually
This
approve.
is just the minutes of the
This-
meetings we're approving?
Yes.
Well, really, it is the recommendations. I wrote approve the recommendations.
Yeah,
Or do you want to
yes.
just approve the minutes?
Just wanted to say, if you approve the minutes, you're approving the
No,
recommendations.
No.
You prove that the minutes are okay.
Yeah,
Then
that's-
we're gonna have to restructure it differently. Otherwise, we'll be arguing both sides.
That's why I
And
was
that's probably why the
questioning.
SAO didn't really
Yeah,
duplicate. It's almost like we're duplicating, right? Because if you
Mhm.
approve the recommendations, holy smokes, you wouldn't not approve the next motions
Well,
because they're specifically to do with the
Yeah,
recommendations.
yeah.
you're approving them without them knowing what the changes are.
Right, almost like here, because I guess we're just,
We're just approving the
you
recommendation.
want to just approve the minutes then?
Yeah, let's just
Okay.
approve the minutes.
well, everybody
For now?
got the recommendations in their emails,
Yeah,
right?
but I guess now when it comes up for discussion on the actual
Yeah, documents, the detail.
related to this, each recommendation has its own resolution. We can go through those. But for now, just if you accept that this is what happened or adopt it into our minutes, so it's public information. And the people especially that were sitting there can make any comments on whether it's accurate or not. How about that?
Can you reread the motion, please?
Okay, so now it would be to approve the minutes of the Finance Admin Committee minutes committee meeting of April 29, 2019. You approve the minutes of the Finance Admin Committee meeting of April 29, 2019. It's just the minutes, right? Okay, all in favor? That's 8 in favor, none against. We'll adopt that minutes. And then same thing here with the Contracts Committee and Council.
I have a couple of, well, one, the contracts committee, there wasn't a chair.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
let me bring it up as the motion and then we'll
Okay.
just start that discussion there.
Yeah.
Council. And what day was that one on?
May 1st.
May 1st.
Right. Okay, so that motion would read, the council approved the minutes of the Contracts Committee of May 1st, 2019. Do I have a mover and a seconder so we can start the discussion? Okay, Councillor Hassan. A seconder. Okay, Deputy Mayor Antoine. All right, and Councilor McPherson, you had a comment on that?
Yes, I just want to note that the deputy mayor did not chair the meeting. Councilor McPherson did, and we did not appoint a chair for the committee. So I think at our next contracts committee meeting, that was going to be addressed. That was the only thing.
Yeah. Right. So we'll make that note. I
Yeah.
guess that you were like basically
I was
acting or,
acting chair.
right. Right, and that's because you felt you were already a chair on another committee or something.
No,
right?
Celine
Celine,
was on,
Okay, any comments on the content of the minutes then? All in favor?
No,
Oh,
are
yes,
we gonna,
Councillor Grow?
okay, when are we discussing this stuff? I've got, okay, this is where it gets a little iffy, because I have a few comments on the water delivery, the rest of the service I'm gonna leave alone. I said it on a letter to the committee that we've had a water system in Fort Simpson that is working very well. Our community, the distribution system downtown, all of our water system and our plant works fairly well. Our water distribution system with the hauled water is also working very well. There are no complaints with anything that I've ever seen in there. Our contractor has been delivering water for 40 years. Our contractor has, I'm guessing, at least 3 trucks for water delivery with several drivers capable. Our water delivery service on the hill is available and usually done up to 7 days a week. Okay. I would like the councillors to consider, we have something that is working just fine. I do not think we should try and fix it. I think we should go to a negotiated contract with the present contractor to ensure the stability of our water delivery system and the safe delivery of our water system.
Okay. Yeah, comments taken. We'll probably go more into that when we actually bring up the actual resolution.
Well, that's what I was asking. What are we doing this
But
year?
it's fine. Yeah. Because as far as the minutes.
Because you said we were approving these minutes.
Yeah.
Then you said, let's have discussion on what's inside the
Yeah,
thing.
although.
What are we doing? Are we approving the
Yeah.
minutes or are we discussing?
Yeah, it's just, it's more or less to say, okay, I agree that.
Can you read the motion again, please?
Uh, It says that council approved the minutes of the contract 2019. Doesn't necessarily mean you agree with what the minutes say.
Okay, so we're talking about the minutes just like the other one.
You
Yeah,
have one vote like everybody
That's right.
else.
yeah.
Everybody
So
has one
if you
vote.
see something totally erroneous, like, well, wait a
Then
minute,
let's
somebody
move
was
on.
there that wasn't there.
Then let's
or-
move on.
Yeah. Okay, so all in favor then, just to approve the minutes of that particular subcommittee? Okay, all, do you approve? Yeah,
No,
no,
you
okay.
didn't ask the other question.
Yeah, well, not yet. We're gonna get to that though. Don't worry.
No, you did, you have to approve, you didn't ask who didn't approve.
Oh, okay, yeah, and who does not approve? Okay. 1 against, 7-4. Okay, motion carried. All right, so now getting to some of the recommendations themselves. And these would be items under 11. And what time is it now?
20:30.
Okay, just keep in mind, we may call for a break at 8:30 because it looks like this meeting is going a little longer. I've got a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Antoine, seconded by Councillor Grote, that council accept the proposal from Stantec Engineering, Stantec Architecture Limited, and enter into a 2-year standing offer agreement to provide engineering services for the village of Fort Simpson. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, I've got 7. Anybody against?
I'm against. I haven't had a chance to read it through.
Okay. Did you want to abstain or vote against? Either way.
I'll abstain.
Okay. 1, 7, 4, 1 abstention, motion carried. Next, a motion moved by Councillor Bellefontaine, seconded by Councillor Rowe, that council support the reappointment of Mr. John Herring as a coroner for the village of Fort Simpson. Sort of thrown in the middle of these other recommendations, but any comments or input on that? John's been in there for a long time, I know. All in favor? Okay, 8 in favor, none against. And now I will call myself in a conflict here. Because, yeah, my son does have this contract right now. And Deputy Mayor, could you oversee this resolution here? I'll take the chair for a minute.
Okay. I take it this is Troy, moved by Troy, seconded by,
MR. Councilor Bro.
that council issue a tender call for caretaking services for the village of Fort Simpson Village Office, Library, and the Fire Hall. This contract will be for a 2-year period. Votes for?
Or I guess is a discussion first.
Just on the matter, your worship,
Yeah.
there will be a change in the scope for this contract going forward, and that is the inclusion of the fire hall in the caretaking services. Request was made through the department to give consideration to that, and committee felt that was appropriate. That was an appropriate service to provide for volunteers. So that will be in the contract, and whatever that additional cost is getting all charged to the fire department.
Okay, so votes for again?
Was there going to be any discussion? You never asked if there was discussion.
Is there any discussion? Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, sorry. I don't have any, but I just wanted to make sure if anybody did.
Keeping me on my feet, thank you very much. No discussion? Okay, vote again. So there's 7 for, 0 against, 0. And do I sign?
Yes.
Okay, done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is my packet.
What are you, Sean?
Sean, you can come in.
The next one to fall asleep in the chair.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
You're welcome.
All right, so. The next issue, 11D. And I've got a motion moved by Councilor Bellefontaine, seconded by Deputy Mayor Antoine, that council issue a tender call for water delivery service for the village of Fort Simpson, effective November 1st, 2019, for a 5-year period. Any discussion on that recommendation? That resolution, really? Yes.
Yeah, I just made the discussion earlier. Does
Yeah.
everybody remember it, or do I have to go through it all over again?
No, we remember it.
Okay, that's my position on it. This should be a negotiated contract because of the safety of the residents of Fort Simpson.
Right. Okay, any other comments? Okay, so then a show of hands, all in favor of putting this out to a tender call? Okay, so it's 7, 4 against, 1. Okay, that motion is carried. And 11F, committees and
11E?
subcommittees. Oh,
Garbage.
oh, sorry, yeah, I skipped right over. Motion moved by Councilor Bellefontaine, seconded by Deputy Mayor Antoine, that council issue a tender call for garbage collection service for the village of Fort Simpson, effective November 1st, 2019, for a 5-year period as well. Any discussion on that? Show of hands in favor? 8 in favor, none against, okay, motion's carried. And now it's committees and subcommittees topic, and Councillor Grote, you wanted to raise this issue.
Yeah, it was kind of a little frustrating, I must say. I left after our last council meeting and I plan to get back before our next council meeting. And that's just the only window we have that's longer than 6 days between meetings, okay? And I get out there and all of a sudden I get this notice that there's committee meetings here and committee meetings there. And we don't know about those in advance. And I'm very frustrated at the ability or whatever, and we've all had issues with showing up at the meetings. Another major thing that I see is there's like only 1 or 2 counselors at any of these meetings. We show up sometime around noon to 10 after to quarter after, depending on what time. We run the full hour. And if you look at these 2 committee meetings right here, those are some pretty major discussion items. You can't do those in 49 or 59 minutes and do justice to it. I think this window of opportunity and lunch hour doesn't work for the committees. And I also do not think that they should be small committees, because once we get out of that, it comes out here, and we still have all the discussion again. So like everybody wants input into all of this stuff, and here we go to a little committee with 2 people, they come up with an idea, brings it out here, runs around the circle a whole bunch of times. I think it should be all committees of the whole. There's my comment, there's my rant.
Okay. Well, I guess what we're hoping would be accomplished by these subcommittees is that they do the work so that the actual meeting time that's required by all of us would be lessened, so we're not, having all of us go over every item. And that could take a long time. Yes,
Yeah.
Councillor Grote.
Okay, but it also, as Liza and Councilor McPherson said before the last one, here it is, 11 o'clock before the meeting at 12. We have no information. We get there at 12 o'clock. We get this bunch of papers which we don't have time to read or digest while we're having lunch. It doesn't work. We've got to have the information ahead of us. We get very scanty little information on anything. And here we are, okay, and we've got a meeting at 12 o'clock. What's it about? Well, it's about hundreds of thousands of dollars the village is spending, and we don't even know what it's about. So we have to, in 58 minutes, make a decision and move on because lunch is over. I just don't think these committee meetings like that are working properly. I would like to see more committee of the whole and a little more time taken to digest some of this information before we have to sit down, make major decisions for or against or on any of this stuff. We have no information on anything.
Yeah, maybe we could take a look at, first of all, how many people are sitting on committees, if there aren't enough. Secondly, we could make sure that council is actually recommending certain topics to the subcommittees. If they don't want it put to the subcommittee, they want to keep it to the whole committee of the whole, then, then that's their choice, right? So that certain issues that are of more concern and you think will bring more comments, need more attention, they can be brought to the committee of the whole. So that's what I'm hearing. Let's not get rid of all the subcommittee work, because I think sometimes that would be, saving us a lot of time, especially there's a lot of just mundane, repetitive stuff that doesn't require.
We've got to have the information ahead of time, at least, to digest it, because like I said, every time I've come, it's always been a pile of papers issued at 12 o'clock.
Right.
And that's way too late to enter into discussion on the topics that are presented, because if you haven't even had a chance to read it, how can you have an idea what we should be doing?
Right. Yeah, well, I think you're right. I mean, as best as we can get the information out, we should be trying to give you a more advanced notice, and that's nothing wrong with that. That's a reasonable request.
I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, well, certainly something that we'll try to take into account going forward. And Councilor McPherson, No, I guess I'll go with this one. The proclamation. And I probably need another blank if we're actually gonna do this. So we've been sent a letter from the Status of Women Council of the NWT asking that on behalf of the Status of Women Council of the NWT, would the village issue a proclamation declaring that the community of Fort Simpson recognizes May 26th to June 1st as Victims and Survivors of Crime Week. So an important issue.
So are they just asking us to say that it is? Is that,
That's right.
okay, perfect, yeah, okay, perfect.
There's nothing that we have to do in particular. It just highlights the importance of the issue for them and other people.
Excellent.
Your worship. Just further, they are planning a ceremony in the community, lunchtime ceremony of remembrance, and they'll be doing some ribbons and things like that. So I'm not sure if I emailed you on that information or
I
not.
think,
So that's part of the week's ceremonies.
I'll just write this in. So the motion would read that council declare the week of May 26th to June 1st, 2019 as Victims and Survivors Crime Week. Do I have a
And to
mover?
continue on annually?
I think this is just a one-time thing. If we got asked again, we could consider it again. Any movers? Okay, Councillor Rowe. Seconder, Councillor Hassan. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, we've got
May 6th to.
May 26th to June 1st as
Oh.
Victims and Survivors Crime Week. Okay, that's 8 in favor, none against. So we'll get the proclamation and I'll sign it on your behalf.
30th.
And then 11H, and I'm glad Councillor McPherson brought this up, the grad gifts.
Yes. I have, in the past, we used to split with the Métis also. And I did talk to the Métis, and they're saying that iPads are not the way to go because what the students are doing, as soon as you give them their iPads, they sell them.
Oh,
They've been selling them because like these students are going off to college or university or whatever. iPads are no good to them. They'd rather have the laptops and that sort of stuff. So I asked the Métis what they do, and they said they just give them a grant of $150 each person. So if we know how many grads there are, and we can get a costing of, because I'd rather see them have something that they can use, not just take it and sell it, because that's it's not very good for us, our image. I'd say.
It's not, and they cost a lot too.
Councillor Rowe.
A lot of money.
yeah, the one thing, like I said, I totally agree, the iPads, but then we're getting on to laptops. And, I was given a watch when I graduated, and I loved that watch. It's a great watch, simple watch, didn't cost a lot. It said, grad 2003, congratulations on it. I cherish that watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes smaller, more meaningful things mean a lot more than huge, big ticket items. I think that speaks to, it's almost like you support them less with an iPad because you're just like, oh, here's a basic iPad, yeah, it's $400, but
Yeah.
if you get something that really just, we are watching you did great, good job, specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It is so much more personal and speaks volumes to our children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to put this onto a committee, the next committee? Do we have enough time to organize
Well,
the
if we can-
discussion
yeah,
and
if we
figure
can-
out what we might get from?
Yeah, because I think if we know like how many grads are going to be, like we don't really know that until closer to
18.
18.
Should be able to get an idea though.
Yeah, and
Around
yeah,
20.
because like we give them iPads every year, and when I was told that, oh yeah, I've seen postings of the iPads for sale online, like it's all, like I was just like,
Yeah. Suggestions from the school teachers.
yeah. And maybe we can work with the DEA or somebody and say, like, what do you suggest? Like, we can't afford laptops for each grad student, like.
It was over $10,000 last year or something, wasn't it? What we spent for the iPads?
8.
It was a
It
lot
was
of money.
yeah, like
Eight
it's
grand.
not cheap.
No, it's not.
Mhm.
I mean, it's good we got that many kids graduating, but
Yeah, I watch, something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's think about it.
Yeah.
Councillor Hassan?
Thank you. I think we should
Fitbit.
discuss we should share this information with the DEA.
Oh, yeah, you're on
So
there.
that's
aren't you?
one. The second thing, I was reading on our binder here, we have or we had in fact $1,000 grant for students that got more than 75% theory levels of courses following science, math, and chemistry, biology, physics, or yeah, I don't know. That's in our policy. So did you guys see that or?
Just 1,000
Yeah,
for one
it's-
person?
Yeah, that's in addition to what, I don't think this is included in that one. So I think we should just table this item,
Okay.
have more discussion and
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll put that to the
Yeah.
committee of the whole again on Monday for discussion, the grad gifts.
Yeah,
and what
my
we're gonna do with
full
that.
support if you recommend, because I'm not here.
Okay, but at least you brought it up. And,
Yeah, it's like it's,
serious
yeah,
concerns there,
yeah.
so no problem.
Wait till you're.
Okay, so now I'm gonna ask councillors, do you want a break? Because we're past 8:30, 5-minute break maybe?
Why do you need to?
Probably still got half an hour to go, right?
Why?
okay, I'll tell
Why?
you why. Today is our first day of our fasting. So I've been fasting, so I want to have something.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, 5 minutes.
cigarette.
Let's have a
Yeah,
quick
your
break.
cigarette should be cut out of that.
Grab a,
You're breaking fast now?
Yeah, I am breaking it from this book.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get some fresh air.
Will it turn back on easily? Okay.
That's the one.
does the grant have to be applied for? Or is
They
it just
have,
we give
there
one?
are some conditions that they should be registered for the first, I think, semester or something, and
It's funny to look back, like you think, oh, they never just did that about smoking. Remember those Popeyes candies? They were cigarettes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get the ones that lit up red on the.
Yeah.
Wow. No, they're
No,
not.
that's it right now.
I
Can we
remember those.
open the door back here?
Yeah,
I'm
that might be
feeling a
good.
little discomfort.
Just to get
with
some
it.
flow,
No, keep it warm.
Make quicker decisions. Suffer.
That's right, yeah. Traumatizing.
That's why I wear a sweater till June.
Okay.
Enjoy your dinner.
We'll call, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we'll call the meeting back in order at, looks like about,
51.
8:51. And I've got under number 12, I've got a motion moved by Councillor Bellefontaine, seconded by Deputy Mayor Antoine, that bylaw 2019-004, a forgiveness of debt for Airports North, be read a first time.
Are you sure it's 4?
Pardon me?
Are you sure it's,
12,
04?
I have 05 here.
5, yeah.
Okay. So,
Are they backwards?
yeah,
Yeah,
the indemnity is the 04. Yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna mark 05. I'm sorry it's out of order here a little bit, but, okay, with that change then, any discussion on the forgiveness of debt bylaw? All in favor then? 8 in favor, none against?
what was that?
I don't think
in
so.
favor of what?
That, oh,
Yeah, forgiveness of debt.
I didn't put my hand up.
Oh, you didn't, sorry.
No, I didn't either.
Okay. Yeah. Took a quick look, maybe it was too fast. Okay, let's get that straight. Votes for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Against. 1, 2, okay. All right, it's carried. 6-2. And I've got a second reading of the same bylaw. Motion moved by Councillor Bellefontaine, seconded by Councillor Lafferty, that bylaw 2019-005, a forgiveness of debt bylaw for Airports North, be read a second time. Any discussion? Those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Against? 1, 2. Okay. Again, motion is carried 6-2. And now that will be publicly posted, I believe, with the reasons given as to why the council was considering the forgiveness. So on the 12B, which is the council indemnity, and you're saying that's 2019-004?
Yes.
Okay, I've got a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Antoine, seconded by Councillor Lafferty, that bylaw 2019-004, council indemnity, be read a first time. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Rowe?
Are we saying that we are worth $75 an hour? We just had the discussion about how our meetings are lunchtime meetings from 12 to 1, and we get paid $75 per subcommittee meeting.
Right.
So are we saying that we're worth $75 an hour?
Well, we used to be worth more.
We should be worth less. I know when the
Are we worth more than
conversation
$30?
came up, I have never had a job where I have made $30 an hour and I've done just fine. This is a position of privilege. It should be your honor to sit at this table and make decisions for this community. And I think in a time where we're talking about what we can and can't spend money on, spending it on ourselves seems a little off-putting to me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor?
Councillor Grote made a point earlier saying that the committee meetings weren't long enough to begin with. So if we're gonna lengthen those meetings, then it doesn't matter.
If we lengthen them, but why isn't there an hour that will figure out what you're worth an hour up to an amount? I like to say what if we show up to one meeting and it takes 4 minutes? Well, now you're worth
Well, that happens after. council meetings, too.
$968
Yeah.
an hour.
I mean, we do have committee meetings that are sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. We have regular meetings that sometimes are over in half an hour. We don't pay ourselves by the hour for those. But I think what we're forgetting too is that a lot of times there's quite a bit of preparation or analysis or research that counselors might be doing prior to the discussion.
We don't get anything to
Well,
look into. We hear about the meeting 3 days before it's on and we get no information until the meeting day.
Right.
So there's nothing to look over.
Right. But that's something we're gonna fix, right? There's gonna be more information given out.
So should we table this until we fix that?
I actually think that this should probably be put ahead. What
Well, it's
you're-
our choice. It's not mayor's choice.
Yeah,
You want to make a motion to table?
Well, I'll let the discussion go, and then I can bring it up, but, like, I've made my point, it's just, you know, if you guys want to get paid more, I don't see where we've done anything to merit a raise. We talk about how we can't contribute to the emergency reserve fund that we are obligated to. MACA says we have to put money aside for that no community can because they have no money. We've had that discussion many times, and yet we're giving ourselves a nice big fat raise.
yeah.
What was the reference to CRA?
The changes in per meeting rates take into account the change in CRAs, no longer giving municipal councilors a 1/3 exemption, which is tax-free. So what these increases do is bring you to the same after-tax position this year with that change in CRA's rules to what you were last year.
So really, I would say it's not a wage increase. It's simply keeping us at the same level we were. On the only difference that I can see is on that subcommittee $75, when sometimes meetings might be shorter. And it ends up, we make more than the $30 we've been paying ourselves. But the point was made that in the past, subcommittees were paid the same as committees and regular meetings, and sometimes they were getting paid the regular meeting rate. And then it went down to 30. This is somewhat of a compromise, given that we don't expect counselors to do things for nothing, right? This actually is already a volunteer position. It shouldn't actually cost you money. There are situations where people have to go get babysitters to make time to come to meetings or make other arrangements. It's actually insulting to be paid nothing. It means you're worth nothing.
Is $30 an hour nothing?
Ooh, I'm still a volunteer firefighter here, Mr. Mayor.
That's volunteer.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Like, is $30 an hour nothing? Like, I'm sorry, I've never made $30 an hour in my life. And you're telling me that I can come sit at a table for 1 hour, get lunch, and make $75?
Let's have.
That's not very good.
We get your point, but, okay, I'll just ask if anybody else has any more comments, just to be fair to everybody. Okay,
I
well,
will
show
call
of hands.
for a recorded vote on this as well.
Sure. Okay, I guess we're gonna need that recorded vote form.
This was a recommendation from the finance committee.
Yeah. Okay, so roll call, I guess. So again, the motion that bylaw 2019-004 council indemnity bylaw be read a first time. Deputy Mayor Antoine. In favor?
Yes.
Councilor Bellefontaine.
Yes.
Councilor Grote.
No.
Councilor Hassan.
Yay.
Councilor Lafferty.
Yes.
Councilor McPherson.
Yes.
Councilor Morrow.
Abstain.
Abstain. And Councilor Rowe.
No.
Okay. 5, 2, 1, effectively 5-3. All right, so that motion passes. And another motion on the same thing, moved by Councilor Bellefontaine, seconded by Deputy Mayor Antoine, that bylaw 2019-004, council indemnity bylaw be read a second time. You still want that recorded
I'd like
again?
that recorded as well.
Okay. No problem. Okay. So we'll go down the list here. Deputy Mayor Antoine, for, against?
Yes.
Four?
4, sorry.
Councillor Bellefontaine?
For.
Councillor Grow?
No.
Councillor Hassan?
Yes.
Councillor Lafferty?
Yes.
Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Moreau?
Abstain.
And Councillor Rowe?
No.
Okay. Okay. Five, two, one. All right, so that motion is carried again, effectively 5-3.
Your worship,
Yes.
would council want to give consideration to doing a third reading this evening with the full council here?
Yeah, Councillor Rowe brought up a good point, and that is that to do the 3 readings, I think it has to be a unanimous passage of the first and second readings, according to our council procedures bylaw. So that'll have to be put off until the next meeting. We'll bring it up again on the next regular council meeting. All right, now, on 12C, the animal control bylaw, a motion moved by Councillor Bellefontaine, seconded by Deputy Mayor Antoine, that bylaw 2019-006, dog control bylaw, be read a first time. Any discussion?
Maybe on a definition of one of the words.
Okay, sure.
Could actually bring that up at a different meeting.
Okay, which, where are you looking at?
Definitions, in number 2 in this bylaw, a definition for dog and wolf dog.
Okay. So what would you suggest we do with that?
A separation of the two. In definition.
So, is it that it's not clear enough and that, I'm taking that to mean that a dog and a wolf are not a dog,
A wolf is a wolf, a dog is a dog.
right? So, but if it's a cross, it's no longer a dog,
It's
right?
not a dog.
Okay,
It's a wolf dog. It's a hybrid.
so do you want to say then that, just to be clear then in the definitions, that a cross, you'll add one line that says a mix of wolf and dog is not considered a dog under this bylaw? It's just an animal.
Would be,
That way it's sort of crystal clear, right?
yes,
It's,
because there are certain tendencies, genetic tendencies, such as genetic aggression that can be bred out, which you get a dog. But they've done testing on Russian silver fox where they've domesticated the Russian silver fox. But in that same study, they went the opposite way. Instead of breeding aggression out, they bred aggression in, where those animals now are such a hyper aggressive state, they cannot be housed together. They have to be housed separately in their own independent cages. And that's just based on natural selection.
I've heard stories of people who had crosses, and they were like, big aggressive dogs, right? I don't know if it ever happened in Fort Simpson.
Not
There still are.
always-
Are they?
They're not always aggressive, but there's an off chance that the person acts a certain way around the animal.
She
That
had
animal
a
might take
dog
that
at some
action.
point.
in a
He got it
different
from
light.
down south,
Okay, but you're
but
recommending
it died
that
here.
a cross
last year.
breed like that we're not treating that as a dog. That's an animal control, ENR come and do something with this animal.
That is, with the assistance of ENR would be best.
Okay. So maybe with a change or one additional line that makes it a little more specific to the idea that a cross or a mix of wolf and dog is not to be considered a dog under our bylaw. It doesn't, it says it's a cross, it says it's an animal, but a dog's an animal too. And maybe people will be, well, it's sort of not clear here. Maybe I can have a dog that's a half of something and something else, right?
Would you want to define it as saying any crosses between a dog and a wolf will not be defined as a dog?
Or
Yeah.
will be defined as a wolf dog and not as a dog.
Do you think though even introducing the word dog into it makes it seem like it could be somehow considered a dog?
A
And
wolf dog is actually a common name for a hybrid. So I'm just saying
Yeah.
that we should recognize that fact that that animal is now a hybrid between a domestic and a wild animal.
okay, so we can call it that, but just say it's no longer treated
As a dog.
as a dog. Okay. Okay, we can incorporate that. And we're not gonna probably be passing all 3 readings tonight anyway. I suppose we could if everybody was in favor, but
We'll make that amendment between second and third
we'll
reading.
wait till the final reading. But on the basis that that is going to be done, unless there's some other changes, I'd ask that people consider the motion here that it be read a first time. I'll put with amendment to wolf dog 11D section. All in favor?
Sorry, I had one thing on.
Okay.
So I have to talk to everything apparently. It just says vicious. I'm just looking at the vicious dogs and how we can characterize this as a vicious dog. But did I miss the page where it talks about destroying a dog, or like if it becomes too vicious, repeat offender vicious dogs, or are we just gonna, let them keep walking it around if it keeps biting people? I didn't see it.
Down here in the bottom of the page 36/1 is about as close as I can see on that one.
36(1)(2).
Yep, thank you.
That one seems to cover it pretty good.
Yes, that does. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
The only thing I was looking at that and saying, definitely, there's no talk about muzzling these vicious dogs, or is that just assumed, or how? Or, they say you must control your dog if you've got, I don't know, how many vicious dogs do we run into here?
I have not seen any dogs classified as vicious in the last year. The other
That's fine.
thing is a dog can be destroyed if it's
Yeah.
um,
Without cook, yeah. With,
if it's surrendered, if that is an option. Although you wouldn't, that would be your last resort. But and that could be a non-vicious dog.
Mhm.
So we have increased the fees for registering dogs, but we have also provided a month of free registrations. We are hopeful that this will provide or give people the opportunity or incentivize them to come in and register. That is a challenge in the community.
There's a typo on page 4, 27B, the owner of the fog. If you just have that corrected.
That particular moment, the writer was in a fog.
yeah.
Just to address Councillor Rowe's concern there about the vicious dogs, perhaps 33C, which we don't have right now, we list what is supposed to happen with a vicious dog when it's off the property of the owner. Should be secured in a harness or a leash, which does not exceed 1 meter.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and then the
but
dog has to be under the control of the person.
Yeah.
With someone who's over 18. But I've seen some pretty big dogs, and if they really were vicious, I don't know what you can do if it actually gets out of your hands. So
That's why I want the clarification on this.
So the muzzle. Maybe once it's been deemed classified as a vicious off the property, put a muzzle on the dog. Walk it all you want. Would that be a good recommendation?
I think Kirby
Yeah,
brought
I
that up
think
as
so.
well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe 33C,
Yeah.
dog must be muzzled, right?
Computer chipping's pretty popular down south. Over in Europe.
Zappers.
Yeah, no, identification.
Oh, chips, yeah. They do that
Yeah,
through the
it's,
SBC now as well.
There was an incident when Gus was at home and his dog attacked his friend. Well, didn't attack, but went after him. When he went to the hospital, they knew exactly who the owner was, where they lived. And it was amazing how quickly they run it.
Good.
Yeah. So they take care of their dogs over there. You don't see nice dogs.
Okay, so with that, I would reread the motion to say that the bylaw 2019-006 dog control bylaw be read a first time with an amendment to the wolf dog 11D section and an addition of section 33C muzzling. All in favor if there's no further discussion. Okay. 8 in favor, none against. Motion is carried. And I'm just gonna write this out again. All right, so a motion moved by Councilor Bellefontaine, seconded by Councilor Rowe, that bylaw 2019-006, the dog control bylaw, be read a second time with an amendment to the wolf dog section number 11D, and the addition of section 33C regarding muzzling.
2D. Definition.
Oh, that's 2. I better change that back in the first one then. 2D. Okay, got it. So all in favor? 8 for, none against. Thank you. Okay. Correspondence and information. There was nothing. And other than the letter we got from the status of women, and we dealt with that. Council matters and concerns. Councilor McPherson, do you want to go?
Okay. With the removal of the large items and such, like I go around the community and I see a lot of these old vehicles sitting around some homes.
Mhm.
What are our grounds to approach them to see if they want these things removed?
I understand we have taken vehicles in the past
Mhm.
to the landfill at large item.
Yeah.
We can certainly approach those folks who.
Yeah, because
we-
I'm just thinking like when you drive down towards the Papal Grounds and you look up on the hill and all that garbage that's sitting up there, like it's just, it's not a very good sight for the tourists when they drive down to the Papal Grounds or down to the campground and see all this garbage on the hilltop there. Like at least get that part cleaned up.
Councilor Rowe.
And,
Oh, sorry.
No, just to speak to that, if you were done with that, the only problem we ran into that is they have to be drained of all fluids. They can't have oil in them or add fluid, transmission fluid.
Yeah.
So just be wary of that cost.
or else write them letters like the homeowners and,
I really do think an unsightly bylaw is a better way to handle something
Yeah.
like this.
yeah, because it's just like, that's not the only spot. There's,
It's everywhere.
There's others.
yeah.
Okay.
And when are we gonna do our community cleanup?
Mhm.
Like the community people going around town picking up garbage. Is there any idea? Because we did it last year, it was lots of fun.
Okay.
Lots of fun picking up everybody else's garbage.
Okay, let's put that one on the committee of the whole,
Yeah.
the community cleanup. We usually do it just shortly before the ferry gets in the water so that the tourists come and they see a nice clean town.
July.
Got time.
It better be in before I come back.
Okay, so did you have any?
Oh,
other
no,
ones?
that's unsightly.
Okay, thank
You
you,
know, after
Councilor
the snow
McPherson.
melts, it looks so awful.
Okay, Councilor Hassan.
Thank you. I have a lot of things, but I'm gonna just talk about, I think, 2 or 3 items. One of the items I've been approached by the former MLA that our sign when you are coming from the ferry crossing is misspelled, the municipal sign. So that's a very bad educational sign. So that's one. I don't know what we should do about it. The spelling is not right. This second thing which I brought before for the abstention issue, I would like to see that in the coming meetings.
Council procedures bylaw, right?
Yeah, abstention is right now it's considered it's no or it's against. The third part, which is really important, our meetings always should be public meetings. And that's, I mentioned this before, and I'm going to mention it right now. Whenever we have any input on email that don't have access to these emails. So, including myself, I would like to just remind the councilors that a private meeting, it's considered as a private meeting when you send an information on an email other than the regular information things. That considered as a private email, and according to the law, it's illegal. So we have to be very careful in that regard. The third item, and I know we could not do a lot on this one, but I would like to have another discussion in regards to Mr. Rose, Mr. Patro's concern, and see. Although I remember the committee discussed this issue, and I don't remember the members, but Mike Rowe was part of the committee, and Mr. Groth was part of the committee. We no for the maintenance of the dump, and you guys submitted a recommendation, and we accepted the recommendation, and we voted on it, all of us. So I want you guys to go back, all of us to go back and see what is the process of bringing that topic to the meeting.
Okay, is that the picture drawn on the back of a piece of paper with a big round circle?
No,
And with some X's over here that we're gonna do this, and a couple over here saying we're gonna do that? Is that what I'm considering?
Mr. Groth, I'm not, it's my concern. I'm gonna raise my concern. You don't have to answer me.
Okay, fine.
Okay, you just go back to your package and find that out. I can tell you the meeting was March 28th. It was March 28th, 2019. And that recommendation, it came back to the table here, and the 8 councillors plus the mayor were here. So we don't have to, that doesn't mean that I might not agree with what you guys brought on that committee, but I trust the committee, or we trust you as a committee. We trust all the committees. Whenever we have a committee that brought any recommendation, we accept it as it is. So I want you guys to think about that. That does not mean that we cannot bring the topic to the table again and discuss it, but there is always a process to bring it back, and we have to figure that out. Plus, the last thing which I wanna mention, and that's very important. I noticed the discussion in this table, it became very annoying, honestly. So let us go back and read the code of conduct for the council, all of us, including myself, and we come, because honestly, we are just fighting here. We are solving no one's problem. We are just fighting. Why are we fighting? Things should be very simple. And that's all what I want to say. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Hassan. Councillor Bellefontaine.
Not so much a concern. I was just going to mention that I noticed a lot of people signing up for the vet that's coming. I thought that was really good. They said that I believe they're already fully booked, and they have a waiting list to go on. I did talk to them about maybe coming back for a second visit. I know they said they probably couldn't, but I'm hoping that maybe we could team up with Wrigley and see if they might come back again, because there are so many people interested. I know we did set aside enough money for 2 visits, so if they can't, maybe we can look other providers that might want to come, if we can get a similar kind of deal, or if we could maybe use the money for dogs in the rest of the year, that we could maybe cover the cost of sending them out, and then they would still pay the same fee when the dog gets there. I don't know, it's something we could look at, but a lot of people I've still got people contacting me asking me if they can get in, but I've asked them to go through the proper channels, and I think that administration here has done a good job with that, because they're calling and getting good information here, and then they're dealing with the SPCA as well. This year I haven't really had much to do with it at all, so I was really glad to see that it's moving ahead and everything's going very positive.
Okay, is that it? Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Bellefontaine, Councillor Grove.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Grove. Councillor Morrow? Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Antoine?
I just wanted to bring up maybe if we can think about inviting Marty List over here, the manager of forest, to give us a little overview of what they're talking about in terms of forest fires around here.
Okay, and that's the superintendent?
Marty List is the manager of forest.
Manager of forests?
Yeah.
Okay. And any other concerns? Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Grove?
Well, just a couple of things. I'd like to know what are the owners of the village in ditches for keeping them clean and cut. If you go down the back road towards where the old DEA building was, and closer to the DPW as well, I couldn't tell you how many years it's been since that stuff's been cut. Like, you can see how long and draped over it is. It's full of garbage. Does the village have any authority over asking them to do that? Is that something that we can do, like set aside a certain area to do that ditch? You know, I know this is a slower time of year for our employees before the big push. Can we get a couple garbage bags and have them pick up some garbage? Little things that we can do in the downtime to make the community look better.
Okay.
If that's possible. And then the other thing is, I noticed we still haven't fixed the sewer drains that punctured somebody's tire. I really,
Work in progress.
yeah, like I said, I would love to hear that a kid jumped and didn't fall through the hole and break their leg because there was a grate there. It's very important.
That's it, Mr.
That's
Rowe?
all for me.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll add something at the end.
Okay, and Councillor Lafferty.
I was talking with one of the people in town there today, and Audrey, and she said to ask the mayor where the bridge is.
Oh, yeah.
She wants the bridge.
I think that's one thing that everybody in town can almost agree on. Yeah. Even Mr. Rowe would agree with us on that one, I'm pretty sure.
You guys will have to build it yourself.
Contractors. No, definitely an issue that's come to the fore, and we got to push on that. Okay. Yes.
I remember at one point we talked about a dog park, and I've driven by that old Esso plant how many times, and it's still sitting vacant. You know, what about looking at that for our dog park? It's a pretty fair sized.
It's very big.
Yeah, you know.
And where is that?
That old Esso plant.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right down the end.
Yeah, because I drove around the Papal grounds, and I see some kids down there with the dogs on one of the baseball diamonds.
Mm-hmm. Is it still deemed contaminated?
I'm not sure. I don't know what their plans are. They were supposed to irrigate it or whatever, but no. So
Is that private property?
It does belong to private, yeah.
Esso. But,
I suppose we could ask if
Yeah.
they'd be willing to allow the use of it as that.
Yeah.
We can only say no, right?
Yeah. Put all the vicious dogs there and like. But no, I drove by this one. It's been sitting for how many years now?
Yeah.
We'll sit for a whole bunch more, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know. So if we can do something with,
I see kind of.
Got the fencing.
it's
Yeah.
like
That's
it's
the
a
good part, yeah.
perfect location.
Okay, so if that is it for tonight, I've got the motion to adjourn, moved by Councillor Grote, seconded by Deputy Mayor Antoine, that council adjourn regular meeting RM09-2019 at
9:25.
9:25 PM. All in favor? 8 in favor, none against. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, you can, sir.
Daryl, I just have a question.